Association, ICA. She will talk to us about septet and its use in practice. Thank you very much.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I want to salute the authorities, Michael Barbarix, Nick Veselis, Stefan Krebs, Alina Simkova, Dr. Paul van Sommeren, Dr. Tim Pascoe, and all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for inviting me as president of the International Septet Association to present today. ICA celebrate and support the SEN standards and promote its evolution globally. ICA is in more than 40 countries of the world and different regions of the world. So for us, it's a great news that these standards are moving forward, and we congratulate the teams. I will present today septet and its use in practice, the role of standardization. As you may know, cities in the world are facing huge transformations as a result of various stressors like COVID-19, climate change, increase in violence and crime, as well as natural disaster, among others. In this scenario of constant changes, the ability to adapt and reinvent of cities and their inhabitants is essential for urban survival, sustainability, and safety. The ICA offers a global umbrella initiative to promote, evolve, and sustain septet in all regions of the world. I was elected ICA president in 2017, and since then, we apply and approve a global policy that we call the Umbrella Initiative. The idea of the Umbrella Initiative is to connect in a synergic way all septet practitioners from the world. You can connect with the ICA with an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, or an affiliation letter. The spirit behind the Umbrella Initiative is the spirit of protection and promotion of septet and protection of vulnerable communities all around the world. Here you can see a picture from the Three Musketeers from Mexico. These three children were part of a project that I did in 2012, and they asked me a very simple question. What is ICA? Does ICA protect us? And this was the basis of the ICA Umbrella Initiative later. ICA is organized in three levels. The central office level, based in Canada, Alberta, since 25 years ago. Then the regional level, we are based in different regions of the world, and then the national level based on chapters. Since 2017, the Umbrella Initiative is growing, and you can see in our organizational structure, that we have different chapters in different parts of the world. I'm very glad to highlight that Europe has more chapters than other regions. We hope the other regions can follow Europe. We have chapters in Sweden, in Netherlands, in Hungary, in Catalonia, Spain, Germany. Also, we have chapters in Chile, Mexico, USA, India. Also, our active memberships are growing. I started leading ICA in 2017 with 96 active members, and now we have 326 active members. So we hope we can spread more the septet world. Also, we offer services and we offer products for active members, like webinars about septet. We also develop some guidelines, like the school septet guidelines, and we have a ICA newsletter. I hope you know about septet, but if you don't, I can describe that septet is a methodology that is based on scientific evidence and that promotes the application of different principles that are universal but must be applied locally. We can talk about septet first generation and second generation. First generation septet has to do with crime opportunity, to understand the crime opportunity since the 60s. And it's based on natural surveillance, maintenance, natural access control, and territorial reinforcement. Since the year 2000, we start developing SEPTED second generation, and it has to do to understand crime motivation within a social environment. And since 2019, we start evolving SEPTED third generation that has to do with a holistic approach to reinforce neighborhood liability through environmental, social health, and economic sustainability. For that to happen, we need to base on scientific evidence. We have an evidence-based approach that is very, very needed. As you can see here, we developed many projects. This is a project that I developed in Patagonia, in the south of Chile, with Dr. Tim Pascoe for 4 years. It is a longitudinal research applying SEPTED, but with an impact evaluation model. So then we can figure what's happened with crime, what's happened with trust among neighbors, for example, what's happened with gang activity. And we had very good results. We discovered a reduction of the level that crimes affect you and your family from a 66% to 20% from 1 year to another, applying SEPTED, for example. Or also, we saw an increase of the level of trust among people from 83% to 93% from 1 year to another. This leads us, as ICA members, to develop an impact evaluation model that was published 2 years ago. Why I describe that? Because this is so connected with SEPTED standards. SEPTED standards are very welcome because they are based on evidence. Because of that, we were so happy when Paul van Sommeren told us in 2021 that the ISO SEPTED standard was launched finally. The ISO SEPTED standards and also the SEN standard are based on stones or milestones that are very needed for the scientific process. The first one is to understand the context of crime and the risk model. Then to understand the basics of SEPTED as the principles that I mentioned. Then to understand the SEPTED process. Everything is based on a process. We talk always about the 4 stages of a SEPTED process: the diagnosis, the design of the solution, the implementation, and then the evaluation. And also, the standards are connected with approaches that are very, very needed today, like cost effectiveness, sustainability and resilience, green environment approach, adaptive application, and evidence-based approach. From an architectural perspective, SEPTED practitioners and architects and urbanists should understand that a standard can be a guideline, a very clear guideline to how to develop a project. And also, it needs to resolve some questions. Where does the crime occur? What is happening with the crime? Who is happening the crime? And how we can deal with that problem. A SEPTED strategy needs to consider the physical aspects from SEPTED first generation and also the social aspect from SEPTED second generation. And at least it must consider the strategies of increasing natural surveillance, increasing natural access control, increasing territorial reinforcement, manage the image and management, and increase the support for the activities, and increase hardening of the site. And SEPTED second generation should increase social cohesion, social connectivity, community culture, and threshold capacity. As closing remark, I want to highlight that SEPTED is scientific based, and it's a crucial part of the SEN work with SEPTED standards and the ISO standard. Also, that SEPTED is a living methodology that is evolving. It's evolving from a first to a second and to a third generation, and these generations are complementary. ICA is the great global SEPTED umbrella with certification programs. If you want to know more about our ECCP program or the CAP accredited courses, you can see that information in our website. And also, I am very glad to say that septet third generation is being part of the update process of the SEND standard and the ISO septet standard, thanks to the great work that Dr. Paul van Sommeren, Tim Pascoe, and Dr. Stefan Krebs and other experts are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Macarena. Thank you, Macarena, for this lively presentation. I see a question here.
Thank you, Stefan. I would like to thank to Macarena that she is here with us, and I highly value the cooperation of Macarena and her ICA association with our colleagues from our technical working groups, especially with Paul van Sommeren, who is present, and Tim Pascoe. Both of those experts are, as you know, conveners of our working groups, and they are very, very at a very high expertise. So thank you, Macarena, for your fruitful cooperation with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, I see their hand raised. Please, the microphone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You mentioned the third generation of septet in the 22,341 standard, and I was wondering if you could say a few words on how it helps to implement the septets on the global scale, if that somehow impacts the implementation or dissemination of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. It is a very good question. As I mentioned, septet is a living methodology that is evolving, and in a very simple way, we want to highlight that septet first generation had to do with the physical environment, the crime opportunity, septet second generation with the social environment, the crime motivation, and septet third generation has to do with internal variables, psycho-emotional variables, and this is very interesting to understand because, for example, with the COVID crisis, it has to do with mental health. It has to do with sustainability in the environment and psycho-emotional stressors. So for us, it's very interesting. So it completes the cycle, the physical environment, the social component, and the psycho-emotional. And I know Paul van Sommeren, Dr. Tim Pascoe, Stefan, and all the team are introducing these new approaches to the standards.
Thank you, Macarena. I have a question because I hear two abbreviations. One abbreviation is septet, crime prevention through environmental design, and the other is crime prevention UDP, CPUDP. What's this?
I know that in the different regions of the world, you have different, how can I say, like adaptations. Probably Paul knows more about that. For example, secure by design, it's one approach that takes on the basis of septet association and septet methodology in the South American region. We have seguridad urbana. It's another approach that came from septet, but in the basis, it's septet.
Okay, thank you. So if I imagine what you say, I can see that there are 3 generations of septet, and each might be seen as a slice of cheese, isn't it?
Good example, yes. So it is, and I think it's very easy to understand with the objective. The first generation septet, the main objective is to reduce crime opportunity. The second generation is to reduce crime motivation. The third generation is to increase liability in the neighbors, in the urban environment. And the three are complementary.